and one of the best for over a decade.
Hello everyone, this is Mark with Accelerate Games, and I am back with my mirror match video for UFC 198, Werdum versus Stipe Miocic. But I'm actually here for the co-main event, which was Jacare Souza versus Vitor Belfort. I'm a big fan of both fighters. I've been watching Vitor Belfort for a long time, great Valley Tudo fighter. I've also been watching Jacare for a while, even before he became the UFC, because of all the jiu-jitsu competition, IBJJF competition I've been to. So he's really big in that circuit. He's won a lot of world title in IBJJF tournaments. So if you're big into jiu-jitsu, you already know who Jacare Souza is. And if you haven't already seen the fight, spoiler alert, give me 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But Jacare Souza won this in first round by ground and pound stoppage, knockout. And it did not play out how I expected it. Vitor Belfort didn't really put up much of a fight. He was very cautious, very defensive, which whenever he fights like that, he always loses. Vitor Belfort that needed to be there tonight to win was the Vitor Belfort that we all love to watch. Light in hands, good defense. He chases down the opponent and creates angles, create opening with his ferocity. But this Vitor Belfort we saw tonight was not the same Vitor, and I'm not sure what it is. I mean, maybe it's his training, maybe it's just time to hang up the gloves. I mean, at this point, you kind of have to start wondering maybe retirement is in the future for him, because he's not keeping pace with the fighters that are currently in the division. And even though he's ranked number 3 or 4, you kind of have to excel. I mean, he's already lost to Chris Weidman. Now he's lost to Jacare. I mean, the only person there's only a handful of people he could really fight again before maybe he could try to revitalize his career with a string of victories. But at this point, I think he probably needs to take some time off and maybe heal or retrain or try something new, because right now, I think it's more mental than physical, because he's in shape. He looks phenomenal. But when he steps in there, he just doesn't pull the trigger now. And, it kind of sucks, because I'm a huge Vitor Belfort fan. I remember watching him back in the early days of UFC before it became popular. And this guy was ridiculous. So it's a little sad, unfortunately, to see this happen. But, maybe some time away from the sport would kind of help, re-energize him to train better and to come out there with a bit more sense of urgency. I mean, he still has the tool to run for the title again if he really focuses and actually goes in there and execute his game plan. But being defensive, backing up, waiting for the other opponent, he's going to lose every time he fights that way. That's just not how he wins. It's not, it's like asking a football player to go play track and field. You can't ask him to play track and field. He plays football. So Vitor Belfort, he needs to go in there and throw those strikes, throw those punches, those kicks, defend the takedown, stop the takedown, keep moving, keep angles, set up your combos. The more combos and the angles you create, your opponent's going to be a little bit timid to try to take you down, as long as you don't stand directly in front of him or you don't back up. It makes it easier for you to get takedown when you back up. So either way, with this victory, Jacare Souza should definitely fight for the title after Rockhold versus Weidman 2. I mean, Yoel Romero is suspended right now for drug use, so he's out of contention. So really, there's nothing standing between Jacare Souza and whoever the victor is. Of Luke Rockhold versus Chris Weidman. Now, Chris, if you haven't already seen that fight, that was a pretty even fight until Chris Weidman did that spinning wheel kick, and again, who knows why he did that. But in the rematch, I'm actually giving it to Luke Rockhold this time to win. I don't know if he'll win by knockout the way he did the first time, but I think he will definitely win. Let me clarify that. I think he has a better chance of winning. So I'm giving it like 55% Luke Rockhold to 45% Chris Weidman. I'm hoping Chris Weidman comes out there with that fire that we saw him with before, but we'll see. But either way, Jacare versus either of them, I think Jacare would lose. Both of them are pretty legit. The only way that he might actually win is with a submission. Striking-wise, his striking is not as good as either of them. Wrestling-wise, is not as good as either of them. His jiu-jitsu, of course, is better. But Luke Rockhold is particularly a problem for Jacare Souza, because his jiu-jitsu is very high level, so he could nullify Jacare Souza's jiu-jitsu if he gets taken down somehow by Jacare Souza. So I think Luke Rockhold is actually a more dangerous match for Jacare Souza than Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman is good in wrestling, but his submission skills aren't that good. I mean, he competed in Abu Dhabi, and he went pretty far, even went against Andre Galvao, which is like a legend in BJJ, and you know, he didn't win. But his wrestling allowed him to survive. But he just didn't have any offense outside of just getting out of submissions and getting out of locks, chokes, etc. So Jacare Souza is really good at setting up, you know, all fighters, wrestlers and otherwise, into different submissions. So I think Jacare Souza, if he can stand with Chris Weidman and maybe force Chris Weidman to go for the takedown, then he could stand a chance of submitting him. But again, I said could. The gloves do play a factor in terms of locking in submissions and chokeholds, and it's harder to lock in submissions when you're getting punched in the face, which we saw that happen when Yoel Romero versus Jacare Souza. Yoel Romero punched him a few times, and Jacare couldn't do any jiu-jitsu. So again, you know, if you get punched in the face, jiu-jitsu goes down a little bit. So, you know, the biggest thing is, of course, to avoid taking any big shots and work his game plan. If Jacare can do that, then he stands a chance of winning. But it's going to be much harder to do that against either Luke or Chris Weidman. So, but whoever wins, I'm looking forward to that fight. I'm a big fan of all three. Right now, I think Luke Rockhold is probably the most complete fighter of the three because he has good stand-up, good grappling, good jiu-jitsu, good leg kicks. I mean, so he has, like, you know, the full package. I mean, yeah, Chris Weidman might be a little bit better wrestler than, well, actually, Chris Weidman is a better wrestler than him, but because he has so many tools in his kit, he can nullify Chris Weidman wrestling. So, which is why I'm curious to see the rematch. Either way, let me know what your thoughts are. Who do you want to see Jacare Souza fight against next? Do you want to see him fight against Luke Rockhold or against Chris Weidman? All right. As for his victory over Jacare Souza victory over Vitor Belfort, that ground and pound finish is really, you know, every time you get Vitor Belfort in a fully mounted position, he rarely gets out of it. So when we saw that happen in the fight, I knew it was gonna be over, even though he ended the fight towards the end of the first round. All right, well, I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next mirror match series.